Welcome back, Duelists, to another episode of Yu-geeki-oh. Today's episode is number 14, and we have a really exciting deck profile today. It's a deck that I've been working on for a while, couple of years now. It's not exactly finished, and I think it's going to be one of those things that's never exactly perfect. But the deck profile we got for you today is an anime-style deck profile based off the Dark Side of the Dimensions movie. And as you can see from the top deck card right there, that is right. It is Kaiba's deck from DSOD, the Dark Side of Dimensions movie. Came out a couple years ago. And I am so psyched to finally be able to do this deck profile with you guys. I think I finally got it up to a point to where I'm comfortable with showing it off to everybody. And there'll be updated videos with it in them, and just it'll just be a great time. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop right into that deck profile. Alright, so for the first three cards, you already know, we gotta pop it off with the 1, 2, and 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons. Next up, we have only one Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon. This is far different from what I actually play in my Blue Eyes deck that I use for casual play and some competitive play, depending on if I want to win or if I just want to have fun with it. And that I play 3, and I don't see why a reason why Kaiba wouldn't play 3. But for the time being, you only really ever see him use 1. And I feel like if he had 3, they would put that in there, that he had 3, and they'd show that he had more than 1. And then next up, we have Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon to play off the Chaos cards, as back in the day in the anime, he did play the Chaos Dragon Envoy of the End. And then we have Deep Eyes White Dragon to end the chain of the Blue Eyes Dragon cards. There are other cards in here that help with Blue Eyes and whatnot, but that's just the end of the chain of the Blue Eyes Dragon cards. And these 3 are in here just because they are classic Kaiba cards. You can't build a Kaiba deck without them. So you have X-Head Cannon, Y Dragon Head, and Z Metal Tank. Now, there's no doubt in my mind that if he was going to play the Union monsters, that he would play like B-Buster Drake and A-Assault Core and all the other ones too. However, you can't go wrong with the originals. Just like in the original Lord of D. And to follow him up, you have his evolved version, the King of D. And then instead of just having the normal Force Raider in here, it's the DSOD. It's newer times. He's dueling against Aigami and Yugi and the Pharaoh. He's got this deck ready to play the Pharaoh. So you got to put in Kaiser Force Raider. Far more powerful than normal Force Raider. And then it's not a monster, but it's a god. Obelisk, the Tormentor. How could you build a Kaiba deck without putting his Egyptian god card in there? Come on. And as mentioned earlier, you can't build a Kaiba deck with only 1 Chaos card. So Chaos Emperor Dragon, Envoy of the End. And to continue off with our monsters, some people would say that he probably played 2 or 3 of these in there, but I'm only putting it at 1. I don't see a need for him to put 2 or 3 Assault Wyverns in there. It just doesn't make sense. It would just take too much space up. Now, I do know that he did play with 2 Crystal Dragons. I only have 1 to put in there at the moment, and I'm not sure what I would take out to put another one in there. Maybe Chaos Emperor Dragon? Who knows? But I figured it's only fair that we go ahead and lay in a Maiden with Eyes of Blue, considering the whole Kaiba and Pharaoh go back to Egypt and witness that ancient duel and the original Yu-Gi-Oh series, that whole arc that they had. Why not put Kasara in there as a Maiden with Eyes of Blue? Why wouldn't he make that a card, you know? And another card that he actually played in the movie is Pandemic Dragon, a great and powerful dragon monster that infects other monsters with a deadly disease. And then A card that I didn't expect him to play in the movie, but he did. A card that I never expected him to play again, especially after Yugi beat it so many times, and just because it's such a weak vanilla monster, but I guess there's room for it. For Saggy the Dark Clown. It's just a dark clown. I don't know. Maybe Kaiba has a thing for clowns. Some type of weird like for clowns. I don't know. Maybe you just can't get rid of Saggy the Dark Clown for some reason. It just seems to be one of those staple Kaiba cards that you just can't get rid of. That is all for the monsters. So moving on to our spells and traps. Because we have Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon, we gotta have Chaos Form. A great and powerful ritual card. And since you already know, if you've watched the DSOD movie, he has Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, which means he's got Neutron Blast in there. Another card that you see him play is Dragon's Fighting Spirit. Has a little bit of a different effect in the movie. However, it is still a really good card for this deck. And because we have King of D and Lord of D, we gotta have Dragon Revival Rhapsody, followed behind the Flute of Summoning Dragon. And since these next two cards are just such staples for any Kaiba deck, and you can base them with Kaiba at any point in moment, we have Cost Down and Enemy Controller. And since we are playing fusion monsters, you already know we gotta have the polymerization. And I feel like Kaiba's not just gonna use any old monster reborn nowadays. He's gonna use something like Silver's Cry. And since he knew what deck the Pharaoh would be playing, since he recreated the Pharaoh's deck down to its very last detail, made it perfect, there's only one choice to go with another spell card, and that's Lullaby of Obedience. And if you don't know what that does, basically you play a certain amount of life points, declare a monster card name in your opponent's deck, and you can either special summon it or add it to the hand of the player who activated Lullaby of Obedience. So you can either special summon it to your side of the field, or you can add it to your own hand. And I know this card is banned in today's TCG, but it's a classic Yu-Gi-Oh card. What does it do? Pot of Greed. It allows you to draw 2 cards. Had to do it for the meme. And since we already have Silver's Cry in here, and it's another staple, why not throw in Monster Reborn? And, I mean, the card just screams Blue Eyes, considering it has Blue Eyes on a map, Ancient Rules, to help him summon more Blue Eyes in one turn, as if he needs any more help with that. And the Legendary Dragons was such an amazing arc in Yu-Gi-Oh! And I don't feel like he would have gotten rid of his Fang of Critias, so we're putting Fang of Critias in there as well. And that'll be all for these spell cards. Moving on to our traps. Very short list of traps. It's very easy because you just Mirror Force. And then you can't get rid of his Crush Card Virus because you got Saggy the Dark Clown. And of course you gotta have Countergate. It's how he summons Obelisk in the movie when fighting Agami. And then Tyrant Wing to go with the Fang of Critias to summon Tyrant Dragon. We'll get into that in just a second. Then you have Crystal Avatar, the card he plays in his duel with Yugi against Agami, so that the Pharaoh would come back. And then you have the classic Ring of Destruction, another just classic Kaiba card. And you have its evolved version, the Loop of Destruction. 2 great and powerful cards that do great deals of damage to your opponent at the small price that you take damage as well. Now, moving on to our side deck, it's only 3 cards before we get into it. And these are just some honorable mentions. It's not quite finished yet, but for the 3 cards in the side deck right now, we have Blade Knight, Brain Control, and the normal vanilla Force Raider. because why not? They're all great and amazing Kaiba cards to have in any Kaiba anime style deck. Now, to get into the final part of the deck, the extra deck. So, to start off, we have our Synchros, our Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. And you can't have Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon by itself because of its effect to summon another light Synchro Dragon type monster. So you gotta have Azurai's Silver Dragon, a great card that protects Kaiba's dragons and would also allow him to summon Blue Eyes from the graveyard. And to go with the Union monsters, you have to have XYZ Dragon Cannon, of course. And then to go with the virus cards, you have Doom Virus Dragon, a great broken effect card. Too bad it only has 1900, but that's okay, because Mirror Force Dragon is also in here for Fang of Critias. Use Fang of Critias, Mirror Force. Go ahead and pop you out a Mirror Force Dragon. A great and broken card. Absolutely crazy for Kaiba to have. Tyrant Burst Dragon. Tyrant Burst Dragon, you use it with the Fang of Critias to summon out Tyrant Burst Dragon. Another great and amazing card. And another great and amazing thing, each and every single one of these is a different version of the Fang of Critias, the legendary dragon. And of course, you can't have those without having the Ring of Destruction version, which is Destruction Dragon. And last but not least, you have to have the dynamic duo, Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon and Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. Only one of which you actually see in the movie. And of course, I would have loved to put the Blue Eyes Alternative Ultimate Dragon in here. But unfortunately, I just couldn't see Kaiba playing it. Considering he would have had to have played it in his duel against the Pharaoh in the beginning of the movie. It would have just made more sense. So it just wasn't there. It wasn't around during that time. But I'm sure in today's society and today's rulings, he probably would play it, considering it does exist now. So guys, that is all for the Kaiba DSOD deck. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found it just as exciting as I did. I always get so hyped looking at it, especially looking at all the different rarities I have in here. Thanks to being able to get a Legendary Collection Kaiba box a couple years back. It was such an amazing box to open up. I wish I had done a video on it, but that's where a lot of these cards came from, and the Dark Side Dimensions movie packs. I'm sure you could find both in your local tournament store. But for now, guys, I can't wait to catch you all in the next episode of Yu-geeki-oh and episode 15. Let me know what you all guys want to see. And for now, you all have a blessed night. I'll see you in the next one.